spectators had jammed into the aisles to watch the race. The 1988 final of the Olympic 100 meters.
Possibly the greatest field ever assembled for the finals of an Olympic.
Lane 1, Da Silva of Brazil. 10.24 in the semi-final.
What a race. This is the race of this century.
Lane 2, Ray Stewart, the bronze medalist in the World Championship.
I was a warrior. When the gun go, catch me if you can.
Lane 3, the reigning Olympic champion, Carl Lewis.
If you make one mistake in 100 meters, you lose. If you have a bad start, you have 99 yards to be pissed.
Linford Christie, he goes in lane number 4.
That's the loneliest time. They're not an unfriendly world.
Lane 5, the former world record holder, Calvin Smith.
Athletes can see everything that's going on, and they know more than the public will ever know.
Lane number 6, from Canada, the number 1 of all time, world champion, world record holder, Ben Johnson.
I just have some fear in me, so I didn't want to feel.
In Johnson's shadow, Desai Williams at 29, the oldest of the finalists.
You close your eyes, and you just vision running a perfect race.
Lane number 8, he mustn't be forgotten, Dennis Mitchell.
It's just another competition. It's just another race. That's the way you have to think about it.
Let's go!
Handed a piece of paper here that if it's right, it'll be the most dramatic story out of these Olympics or perhaps any others. It says, Ben Johnson of Canada has been caught taking drugs and is expected to be stripped of his 100 meters gold medal, according to International Olympic Committee sources. Johnson took anabolic steroids before his historic victory over Carlos.
Okay. 15,000 males comes in between 88 and 93. They come all over the world, support. People who send money, tons. These are not even open. My name is Kelly, and I am 10 years old. I go to Silver Creek Public School. Some stuff here. This is all my certificate and all my trophies. Maybe over 1,000.
This was not the Olympic homecoming of Ben Johnson's dreams.
Just some personal lesson place that I have. Souvenir, I guess.
In 1988, Ben Johnson failed a drug test at the Olympic Games in Seoul.
Canada wants to know why! How's it?
Just 48 hours earlier, he set a new world record in the 100 meters, won the gold medal, and defeated his arch rival, Carl Lewis.
Is Ben Johnson our hero now? No.
In the years after Seoul, 6 of the 8 finalists have been implicated in some form of controversy involving performance-enhancing drugs. And Johnson has long believed he was the fall guy in a sport where steroid use was endemic.
When I look back on my life and I see what people have done to me, I just laugh, because once I was very powerful and they were afraid of me. Falmouth was a small town in Jamaica. There was disease was going around that here. All the kids that was born that here died. I have a brother that passed away. He would be 50 years old now if he was alive. His name was Norman. I was about 3 or 4 pounds, very skinny. The doctor said to my mother, if this child's saved, is a miracle. There's nothing we can do for her. And my mom prayed to the Lord and said, Lord, if you save my child, I will serve you until the day I die. So, when I was saved, I know that I was a special child. And God has saved me to do something good in His lifetime.
When Ben was 9, his mother moved to Canada. He followed 5 years later, moving into her cramped apartment in suburban Toronto.
When I came to Canada, there was a few bullies in the schools trying to push me around, and since I was only a black kid, I would get a lot of beating. So I was getting very tired of it. I decided to challenge him for a race. 100 meters. Everybody started getting around. Friends calling friends, come on, look, something's going on here. And then we all lined up, the teacher came over and escorted us. I met him by maybe a minute and a half. From that time, he never said anything to me. Before you can judge me, walk a mile in my shoes. I was born in St. Kitts, which is a small island in the Caribbean. We moved to Canada back in 1973. I pretty much cried every day that we came, not just because of the weather, the culture shock and being a kid of color. Every single person that looked at me and said negative things to me that I would never amount to anything, never would accomplish anything, I use that as my driving force to make myself better. One of my buddies said to me, hey, if you join this track club, you get free gear. And I'm like, free gear? What are you talking about? And you get to travel in the summertime. And as a 16-year-old, I was working, doing cleaning the steps at Toronto General Hospital. And when he mentioned that to me, I said, oh my God, I got to try this stuff. And I went out and whooped everybody's butt. So that was the making.
The club that Desai joined was the Scarborough Optimists, coached by ex-sprinter Charlie Francis. He'd competed in the 1972 Olympic Games and watched an embarrassment in 1976 as Canada became the only nation not to win a gold medal on home soil. He felt that young black athletes had the greatest potential to end Canada's medals drought.
Charlie actually ended up being one of my best friends. He was just an amazing human being. He would do anything for us. I think he would even buy vitamins for a lot of these guys out of his own pocket. I mean, Charlie basically would give you the last shirt on his back.
The youngest and least promising of his recruits was Ben.
Desai Williams will undoubtedly be challenged in this final by Ben Johnson.
I used to crush him each and every single day.
Desai Williams appeared to be the winner.
And to see where you went in the span of a few years, it was unheard of. I just get every knowledge from him that he can, give to me. I listen to what he says and just do it. And some of the guys, older guys said to me, boy, I can't imagine when you put this race together. You're gonna be awesome. You get those blocks so quickly, man. It's amazing.
He literally just jumped out of the blocks and started running. That was just his thing, and it was so effective that Charlie didn't change it.
Charlie was a part of me that was very close from since I was 14, so we become very close as a son and a father, yeah.
People, they think, oh, he must have hated Ben. I was like, no, I got it. I didn't have a problem with Ben. It was a great story. This guy from a small country doesn't speak well. He's really shy and all of this. And then the opposite side, this guy from the big bad USA, I come in. And I understood the Canadians like, I hate that Lewis, kill him. I got it. And I was like, I love you too. I always wanted to be a star in track. When I came down to Houston, I really came here to get a degree in Carl Lewis.
At the time, track was not really making a lot of money. The attitude was they had a chance to jump for the United States in the Olympic Games and put the USA uniform. That should be enough. Well, for Carl, that wasn't enough.
Hey, how you doing? I met with Coach Tellez, and I would never forget my first meeting. I said, I want to be a millionaire. I never want a real job.
I said, don't worry about that, Carl. Don't worry about the money. Just do your job. That'll all take care of itself.
You know, let's go to work. A lot of work to do.
And I said, don't worry about anybody else in the race. Just worry about what you're doing. If they're ahead of you, don't worry. Just keep accelerating and accelerate through 60 to 70 meters in the race. They'll come back to you at the end, I guarantee you. He just came back at the last 5 meters and just went right past everybody.
Human beings can run full speed, 10 yards. You're spinning 90 meters, speeding up and slowing down.
They thought that if they got out faster, they'd beat him at the end. But they'd decelerate terribly at the end.
Oh, magnificent, Carl Lewis, magnificent!
It got to the point where it wasn't even hard for him to beat people.
This is your first set, right? Okay, go ahead. Tom asked me if Carl could join the Santa Monica Track Club. He said he will be perfect. You'll do anything you tell him, and he's a great talent. Once I saw what he was like, I did everything I could to maximize the money that he made in track and field. I have 16 of these books. I could just open up arbitrarily. Every time you see Carl, he's showing excitement. And that was one of his high points. Yes! When I first met him, he was shy. If we were talking, somebody else came to the room, he would leave. He took acting class, he took speech class.
I get all types of letters, mostly just encouragement and people who want autographs, and I try to send everyone back. I had pen pals in every single town.
Dear Carl, you are my favorite track star. People loved Carl.
I do store visits, all this stuff.
What was Lewis like off the track?
A little bit cocky, show off, but that's what Americans are.
Less lucrative, but just as important, is his music career.
Yes, he did some singing. In fact, I have some of the CDs.
What are they like?
They're very good.
You can't sing. He's a runner. Let's stick to that.
I've frequently used the Michael Jackson analogy, and I hope that he's worth as much as Michael Jackson. Did I say that?
I stick to my guns and my 100 meters and my event, and that was all I'd ever dream of doing, just to run.
He just wasn't that good, and I'm not trying to be mean, but he was probably good for his country or whatever. But the reality, Ben was kind of one of those guys that we would not worry about because he just didn't have the core talent.
Get away first time.
But it wasn't just Lewis that Ben was trying to catch. In 1979, the Canadians were invited to a track and field duel meeting with East Germany.
East Germany win the World Championship.
When they ran into Start's Plan 1425, the East German state-controlled doping policy. Kept secret from the public, it was becoming less of a secret among the athletics fraternity.
In that duel meet, I saw Marlies Gurr, and I saw Marita Koch, and Marita ran like 21:71 and broke the world record in the 200 meters.
Medical students.
And I remember Charlie saying, to God, they were all on performance-enhancing drugs, And I'm thinking, oh my God, if this is what my competitors are doing, then I have to do this too.
Sooner or later, your ability to succeed on natural talent runs out when you run against the chemical barrier. The question became, do you take drugs and try to win, or do you content yourself with losing forever by staying away from them?
And that's where Charlie approached me and just decided to do his own way. I didn't tell my mother, because if I told my mother, I wouldn't have done it. She wouldn't let me. And I wouldn't even disappoint her. So I think about it for about 3 weeks before I said yes. I said, why should I train hard really clean, and then these other guys are not clean.
It was a dilemma every runner in the Seoul final would have to confront at some point in their career.
I decided to not take any lose, because this is a matter of character, dignity. I never took anything, but those guys during the 80s, they must have something. I just had to think about how hard it was for me to be in practice every day and to run 10 flat or 10 point something, and those guys running easily. That's a question that I need the answer for.
Gotta get off, baby. Upper leg, come on. Keep working, baby. Come on, man, keep going. Woo!
Did you contemplate that?
Contemplating what?
Taking, if you
No.
think that the room
No. I mean, there was no reason to.
Come on, guys.
I never felt that I needed to do anything like that. So it was no.
I signed a charter coming to the sport and abide by the rules, and I did abide by the rules. I trained hard, and for me, hard work and dedication pays off. There's no shortcuts to it whatsoever, and I tell that to my athletes all the time.
The gossip is always there. It never changed. I haven't done anything. Nothing. Because for all my career running track and field, nobody ever tests me positive for nothing.
Good job. Was there never even a conversation of should we look into going down that route?
What?
Of going down that road that men was
Are you
taking?
kidding? No, absolutely not. I mean, what's the point in it? As a coach, I wouldn't want to do that. You're not a coach anymore.
You have no clue. Most of the athletes choose not to take drugs.
You work every single day, 5-6 days a week. You're going to beat yourself into the ground. It's tough. It's sacrifice that every track person makes with no guarantee. None.
I knew with certain athletes over a period of time how fast they had developed, and you can see the body changes, and that's when you know something is not right.
Do you suspect your own guys?
I'm not going to say I suspect him, but I say 80% of the athletes was on drugs during that time.
I look at it as an area of big-time drugs, that there were so many athletes on drugs. You always think, oh, well, if I took drugs, then I could do this. But that was about as far as it went with me. It was just one of those things I just didn't want to do. I know that without drugs, it was not that I could not beat them, but it was going to be harder to beat them.
In 1983, the US Olympic Committee decided to establish the facts for themselves. They were staging the Games in Los Angeles the following summer and planning drug testing on an unprecedented scale. They did not want any embarrassments.
One of my first directives was from Colonel F. Don Miller, who was the president of the Olympic Committee, who said, I don't want to see an American athlete positive in Olympic Games. Let's see what we've got here. Do we have just a minor problem? Or do we have a huge problem? A lot of the testing is done by people who are very loyal to me, mainly my family. And they were sending my wife to a competition. The next morning, Dr. Catlin, who was the head of the UCLA laboratory where we sent our urines to be analyzed, would call me up and would say, Bob, we have 50 samples of urine here, and they all look like water. That's where we found the drug diuretic that the athletes were using that would thin the urine out, so there was nothing but water.
and it would block our detection.
Dr. Voy ran an educational testing program for 6 months. The purpose was to establish the extent of drug use among American athletes. No penalties were handed to those testing positive, and they took full advantage of the amnesty.
Once I got into that program, I realized what the education was. It was to allow the athletes to figure out when they could take their drugs and how long it would take to clear the drugs from their body, and I was just aiding and abetting them.
Wow, we do have a problem. What they needed to do to be successful, it's a very simple formula. Win medals.
What a stunning effect!
No athlete was going for greater glory than Carl Lewis, the first man since Jesse Owens to attempt 4 track and field gold medals.
It was 11 races and 2 days of jumping. And then my off day, I was getting a haircut. And of course, the do had to be perfect because everything I thought was, I just wanted to be flawless. I even went to the company and said, I want a new uniform for every day. I don't want to have to wash it. I don't want it to fade.
Lewis in 7th, and we've got a full start. It looked like Ben Johnson.
Actually, in '84, I didn't even know who Ben Johnson was. I wasn't worried about Ben Johnson, I was worried about Carl.
And from the start, Lewis in 7th is Riley off to a great start. Here comes Lewis. He wins it. Riley is 2nd. I think Ben Johnson got 3rd.
Then the next day is long jump. And then the next day is the 200.
Lewis wins the gold. It's a 1-2-3 American sleepover 200 meters. Carl is on his way to gold medal number 4. Carl Lewis winning it by almost 15 meters. 37.
The heaviest testing was in the last couple of days. That's when all the big championships are going on, all the track and field finals. And we're seeing positives coming all over the place. Somehow or other, some of our results were lost. Some number of cases just never saw the light of day. And there is still a dispute today where they went.
Not only had results gone missing, but there was now a new substance on the scene. It wasn't detectable at all.
The 1984 Los Angeles Olympic Games acquired the reputation as the growth hormone games. There are athletes who have abused human growth hormone and who have seen the jaw grow out. Mature adult athletes wearing braces on their teeth became stigmatum of growth hormone use. I have no idea whether every case of braces in a 25 or 30, 35-year-old person involves growth hormone. In fact, I know it doesn't. But we encounter the limits of what we can know.
The main supplier in North America was Robert Kerr, a doctor based in Los Angeles.
That was the place to go to get what you need. I flew down there and he had the pharmacy next door. He was supplying tons and tons of athletes. You would be surprised who was going to see him to get growth hormone.
To acquire human growth hormone before 1986, you have to go into a cadaver and extract it.
Did that not sort of roll your eyes?
No, because as I said, if I'm going, why wouldn't everybody else be going,
The big surprise in that race was Ben Johnson from Canada, Canadian national champion. He got up to first place. I don't think anybody expected.
This is all my medals over the years. This is the 84 Olympic Games, bronze medals in 100 meters, and the ribbon goes with it.
There it is again, super slow-mo.
I sit down in my basement in my house. I studied that tape for almost the entire day.
Carl Lewis, as you can see, when he turns on the overdrive, it's all over.
I got the speed, I got the blocks, I got everything was there, but the strength wasn't there.
Lewis, Grady, and Johnson finishing 1, 2, 3.
Johnson needed to increase his speed endurance to compete with Lewis.
Ben Johnson gets the block.
So Charlie Francis introduced Jamie Astafan to the camp, a Toronto-based doctor already supplying steroids to other athletes.
We trusted him. Here was a doctor who was willing to give you what you need. You know, you didn't have to go on the black market to get it.
We go once a week and get injections, yeah.
Jamie said, he has this new drug called Estragol, and it was what the Eastermans was taking.
As a young kid, I was young in the business, and he was a doctor, and he said, if you don't take it, you won't make it. The training is unbelievable on anabolic steroids. You can lift your max twice a day while you're on the drugs, where you would normally not be able to do that once but every 3 days. You sit down in your house watching us run on TV. You don't see the hard work. We're pushing your body to be on the limits. If I give you one of my workout, you will understand what I'm talking about. And it's painful, but I know that I need this. Bigger muscles, increasing strength, increasing speed. So we begin a test run to see if it's improving, and that's how come we know that we were on schedule to being called Lewis next year. We're going to be the fastest man in the world.
The drugs took 28 days to clear the body, and with no out-of-competition testing, avoiding a positive test required little more than looking at a calendar. Sufficiently prepared, in 1985, Ben embarked on the European outdoor season.
The people coming to watch the meets, they want to be entertained, they want to see fast time, they don't care how you get there.
It was like a circus. Everybody moved together. We go to Zurich. Then from Zurich we're in Cologne. From Cologne we're in London. From London we're in Rieti. From Rieti we're in Rome.
I spent a lot of time with Desai, guys who are main rivals. We just had a laugh.
The circuit is good. I miss that, the circuit.
The Americans called it Olympics in one night. The meet was always packed with top athletes.
It was sort of like the championships outside the championships. The atmosphere was second to none. It was a small track. The crowd just loved it. They called out your name, It was just a mad atmosphere.
And of course, the big selling point was Carl.
We didn't have the most money, and like I say all the time, Papa didn't work at the plant, so he followed where the dollars were a lot of times.
Give me a number that you think's the most any athlete ever made in a meet, and I will tell you if it's true or false. That's all I will say.
$500,000.
Not even close.
Because then the promoters didn't want to pay you the same amount as they were paying Carl when they were on top and everything else like that.
A lot of guys resented that stuff, right? Because all the other plebes, right, stayed together. We hung out together. We had fun together. So every time they stepped on the track, everybody wanted to beat the hell out of Carl.
Oh, and Calvin Smith got away well in the middle, and Lewis is down a little bit at the moment, and it's Ben Johnson at the moment. It's Ben Johnson out on the near side, just over is Johnson. Smith. It was Smith and
For the first time in 9 races, Carl Lewis had been beaten by Ben Johnson.
He had the speed endurance to finish. I think that was Carl's biggest problem, because here comes a guy that would outstart you and you couldn't catch him.
Where they go, Lewis had a good start, so too did Ben Johnson.
He was able to get under Carl Lewis's skin by doing nothing more than beating him on a regular basis.
Johnson's going to win it, Lewis is no way up.
A lot of countries liked it. The crowds would chant his name, they would rush out of the stands to get him, and he was mobbed wherever he went. And when Canadians saw that, that really hit home that, man, this guy's special. He was also a bit of a a charismatic chap. For someone who was so quiet, he was followed by like armies of women. He had this something, and it was pretty impressive.
The thing about Ben Johnson winning, it created a competition that the press wrote about.
It was the best rivalry, just like Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier.
That raises the value of both athletes.
Those are things that make sports. Those are things that people love, and those are things that people remember and cherish.
It was perfect. Are you kidding me?
But as his losing streak stretched into 1987, there were signs that Lewis was feeling the strain of constantly coming second best.
We met in Spain. I beat him by close, around 10:06 or 10:07. Was just going crazy like he won the race. And the media was around him, and it was just carrying on. You know what? In Rome, you won't be this close.
All the teasing and taunting are over. This is it. This is where we find out who the world's fastest human is.
I'm shaking her hand saying, good luck, with my heart. And I'm saying, I'm going to kick your ass with my eyes.
I don't look at nobody's eyes.
You go down, come to your mark, you get in the blocks, and you settle in. And then I clear my mind.
And the time has come to show the world the best sprinter is.
That silence goes there, then they say set. And I see in that silence. And then bang. When I crossed the line in 87, it was kind of like, whatever.
And Carl Lewis went to congratulate Ben Johnson.
It looked like he was trying to let me, but he said to me, your false start.
Carl really showed class by doing this.
And I said, no. And I would just walk away.
This is ridiculous. In front of the whole world, we know the guy's doing drugs. He's big as a house. And then he comes to the World Championships and false starts, and they don't call that back. It's like, you've got to be kidding me. This is ridiculous.
He's always have some type of excuse where he can't admit that someone else is beating him.
Whatever. I was so whatever. That word didn't exist in our mind like we know now. I didn't even know how to explain it, but I was just like, whatever.
The good news maybe that you got at least an American record out of it.
Hopefully, and the one thing we know is that we have the Olympics, and that's my domain.
Johnson, Ben, a couple weeks ago you said that you thought if you ran the perfect race, you could run 9:85. You just ran 9:83.
When I'm close to my time, I don't talk bullshit. Whenever I know I'm running, then I tell you if I'm running or not.
It doesn't matter if you're 19th place and on drugs, because you're not affecting anything. And so I felt I had to speak out, and that's when I went to London and I spoke out. People are on drugs, they are in competitions on drugs, and they're not getting caught.
And Charlie and the group dealt with it by saying, well, we're using a vitamin B12 protocol. That's what the injections are.
Deny. You take steroids? No, I'm not. I never take that thing.
As we know, there are many athletes on drugs, and we know there are many athletes that are afraid to address the drug problem.
And that wasn't right, as a man.
Everyone says, he says all these gold medalists in Rome were on drugs. They were.
Because when he won the full gold medal, I didn't say Carlos is using performance.
I think, no, it's not all of them. That's not true. All of them.
If you look at the pictures of Carl, and I have hundreds of them right in my closet, you look at his eyes, he is not taking drugs, and he has never taken drugs.
Ben Johnson.
If he was a star before Rome, it exploded after Rome. Then the contracts came out, we'd never heard of Diodora. Suddenly Diodora was everywhere.
Man, this is what happened, this is what I want, this is what I want to. They want to pay.
He was hanging out with Prince Albert of Monte Carlo and all kinds of celebrities.
Toronto has declared this Ben Johnson Day.
He was huge.
But as the offers rolled in, it soon became clear that Ben's team was far from the well-oiled machine operated by Joe Douglas.
I remember being in Monte Carlo, and a local TV crew went over to talk to him, and the cameraman from the Monte Carlo crew, he reached into his pocket, pulls out a wad of bills, and hands them to Charlie. Ben does the interview, and Charlie wanders over, and I said, well, what happened there? And he said, well, you know, they have to pay if they want to have Ben. And Charlie pulled out a roll of American bills in this pocket and a roll of American bills out of the other pocket. He says, I just hold Ben's money.
Desai Williams, who had left Charlie to coach himself in 1985, decided to return after seeing Ben smash the world record.
I was seeing things that was happening out there that was just unheard of. You know, being out there every single day, busting your butt. You know, you see guys who never really accomplished anything just start accelerating and just going through the roof. And it was just frustrating.
Desai returns to a camp riven with disharmony. Ben's huge earning power brought with it arguments between Coach Charlie Francis and Dr. Jamie Astephan about which one had contributed most to the sprinters' rise.
When I get the breakthrough, you know, everybody was just overwhelmed with the success and no one was prepared for it.
Don't forget, the big payoff was going to be winning the 100 meters in Seoul. That was the high-stakes game. Rome was the warm-up. Seoul was the big one.
Everybody gets greedy because everybody sees the money.
Just 4 months before the Olympics, Johnson pulled a hamstring. Francis wanted to oversee his recovery. Instead, Ben decided to go to St. Kitts, where Astephan was waiting for him.
I met Jimmy. He embraced me as his son. I didn't have to train, I didn't have to do nothing, just eating nice roast fish on the beach, and that was the best 6 weeks of my life since I left Jamaica. The best 6 weeks I ever had.
Astephan was the drug doctor, and Charlie wasn't sure what was going on and how that injury was being treated.
Here's a guy that's going to the biggest race of his life, and you split with your coach at that given time. Something is definitely wrong. You have no coach for a while. Ridiculous.
Within a few days, I started to receive different colored pills and injection. And I didn't ask you anything. I just took it because I wanted to get myself healed. The Olympic Games was about 2 months away. And I said, you know what, it's time back to work. I showed to the track and I said, I told you what, let's get the job done. We come this far, we hit a win a gold medal.
4 weeks before the Olympics, Lewis and Johnson locked horns again in Zurich. It had been 3 years since Lewis had last beaten the Canadian.
Johnson vorne. Und jetzt kommt Lewis. Lewis kommt und Lewis gewinnt. Jawohl. In 9:94.
That is the race that sent Ben home. We said, our program is not working. We got to step our program up. And that was the race that did it.
Lewis gewinnt in 9:94.
That was the better athlete. And it scared him.
That was not the case. I know I was going to lose. And Charlie asked me, you really want to run? I said, yes. I want to know where I'm at. I said, I can fix things in 6 weeks for Olympic Games.
This laboratory across the river from the Olympic Village was built especially for these games. The testing facility is equipped with analytical instruments from the Hewlett-Packard Company of Palo Alto, California.
On arrival in Seoul, it was not the drug lab that caused the most concern for Ben. It was the behavior of Dr. Astephan.
It seemed that a lot of people was getting more recognition, and he just started talking about he's going to go public with the information that it's like the camp is taking a lot of steroids and stuff like that, and And I say, if you need money, I got money in my account. You know, just said son, I can have money transfer over.
Johnson in 6, Nunez in 7.
I just said, when everything is finished, I will give it to everybody.
I think Carl's running better now than he was last year.
And that is Carl Lewis downstairs. We understand he was watching this on television. Is that right, Carl?
And then just put on all the burners on and get the body going for the final.
Oh, but he turns over. He really can move.
He was very bodacious in many ways. It was jerk, he had lost it. But when I got to Soul, oh boy, it was back. I mean, it was back big time.
He was eager to kick Carl, but, you know, he was saying all kind of words, but, Ray, I'm gonna... And I said, man, just relax. Go there and do what you gotta do.
So you get some that's what it is. Dead man walking. I mean, it's just one of those things. You're walking through that tunnel, you go to the gallows. Once you get out from the tunnel, it's just electric.
Lane 1, Da Silva of Brazil. 10.24 in the semi-final.
For me, it was amazing to feel I'm part of this. After that, I said, man, I'm here. This is fun.
Lane 2, Ray Stewart, the bronze medalist in the World Championship from Jamaica. Lane 3, the reigning Olympic champion, Carl Lewis. Carl Lewis, the fastest man in the world this year.
My father passed away in May of 87, and at the funeral I took the 100-meter gold medal from 1984 and put it in his hand in his coffin. And so he's holding it to this day. That's the one that I don't have. My mother was standing there, and she was like, that's your medal. Get that thing back, you know. And I said, don't worry about it. I'll win it back next year. So this is on my mind going up to the starting line.
Linford Christie, he goes in lane number 4, European champion.
Your heart is pumping away like crazy. And when you say this thing, God, don't let me die here on the track.
Lane 5, the former world record holder, the world 200 meters champion, Calvin Smith.
Lane 6, number 159, the world champion and world record holder, Ben Johnson, Canada.
Somebody say, let's go America. I said, really?
Lane 7, his Canadian teammate, always running in Johnson's shadow, Desai Williams at 29, the oldest of the finalists. Lane number 8, he mustn't be forgotten, that is Mitchell.
It was about Carl and Ben, and we all knew that. We were definitely the lane fillers, so we were just kind of hopeful that something would happen that would change our lives. A little bit that we know it was the race itself that would change our lives.
And there must be between 90 and 100,000 people in the stadium. In fact, competitors have jammed into the aisles to watch the race.
Carl was shaking his leg. He's looking on his side eyes to see me.
Lewis waiting as long as he can.
Let him run my race. I'm not running his race.
Who's going to be the last to settle? Johnson's not going to fall for this.
There should be no tension. Everything should be fluid because a fast muscle is a long, relaxed muscle.
Set myself up nicely.
Let's set it.
Relax.
I'm listening for the gun.
Catch me if you can.
I tell you, the gun goes off, and I've never experienced this before in my life. I see an entire body flying in front of us. I thought it was a false start. He moved, and I tried to go with him.
I'm the last one to get off the blocks because I thought about my entire life until that moment.
When I got to 20 meters and started climbing, I'm like, it's not going to take me another 10 meters. Forget it.
I started to be a spectator of that race.
But at about 50 meters, I kind of woke up and I said, hey, man, you got to run too in the middle just as much as he does. I blew my mind from from 60 to say 70, 75 meters. It was just a bundle of fake short muscles.
Chris will be planning, he's going to die at 60 and we can come back. He got to 60 and then he just kicked again. You know, and that was it.
Across the line, I said, gee, that was fast.
Sorry, Williams, celebrating.
To tell you the truth, I don't think even Ben knew how fast he ran.
You know where I was. I know that the crowd was just roaring and yelling and screaming.
When we crossed that finish line, I just kind of thought to myself, I did it. You know, I didn't care what place I got. The whole world is looking at you, and it feels so great. Just been a part of such an incredible, hyped up race.
How did you see the race, Carl? Well, I pressed the on the block team.
I don't remember that race at all. Just nothing. And I think subconsciously I don't want to remember it. I put it away.
Carl was totally devastated. He had that look in his eyes that is not a joy to look at.
Carl was looking across that bay and everything else, and he ran out of his lane so many times. I mean, 2 or 3 times. I remember crossing the line and then saying, Dad, I can't believe I let you down.
And Johnson's answered everybody.
So then I remember him going over doing a celebration, and I went to congratulate him because I knew everyone was watching. And I'll never forget it, he pulled away. You am ... F ... You know, okay, you're going to play that game to me. And I actually made him shake my hand.
Mrs. Lewis is the first to applaud.
And then she knew Ben was cheating, but she had to sit right there with that NBC camera on her face.
It's not about drugs. I was running for my mother. It's about seeing your mother working hard and trying to make ends meet, and you're training to be the best you can. That gives you the drive and the fear not to fail. And I love my mother a lot.
I felt like it was my son coming across the line. I just grabbed him, and I had my bodyguards, and so we just literally left the stadium under the ground and started climbing up the stairs, and of course holding on to Ben. It was pretty exciting. And then we had to have an interview with CBC at the top of the stadium with the Prime Minister.
Ben, can you hear me?
Sure, Jeff.
My congratulations to you on behalf of all Canadians. You were just marvelous, and all of us were so proud.
It's one of those moments where everyone remembered where they were when he won. It was really a galvanizing moment for this country, and everyone was really, really proud of him.
When we did go down to get the medal, I took off his wet shirt, fixed his gold necklace. I was certainly mother of Ben that day. Good going, Ben. You go and get that medal.
And now, Ben Johnson steps forward.
What's more valuable, a world record or a gold medal?
The gold medal.
Why?
Because something no one can take away from you.
I was sleeping.
I discovered it. Was I still at the village?
You know what I found out?
I was still at the village when I heard that. I think I was awakened during the night.
4 o'clock in the morning.
I was in the condo. My brother called me.
My phone rings.
You gotta be kidding me.
Couldn't believe it.
Hey, man. Things happening.
David Diaz is standing by at the Shiloh Hotel with a report. Let's go to David.
Okay, and here you see it. This is the Korean daily newspaper, Hanguk Ilbo. Here is the headline. It says, Johnson doping test.
on my door at Tespaldi. And I said, well, they finally got me.
How could this happen? You shouldn't be on drugs at the Olympics.
I went to tell my mother and everyone. All of a sudden, immediately, the buzz started. The whole place wakes up.
All hell broke loose.
And we ran out of the media village trying to get a cab in the middle of the night, and we all knew we were all going to the same place. We're going to Ben's hotel. And we all raced over there, and by then he was gone.
The media got up early for this one, and why not? They were looking at the biggest drug story in Olympic history.
The games literally stopped.
You're looking at the scene at the main press center where the
We're beginning to know in the real world about drugs in sport, but they were always weightlifters and all these events that people really didn't care about. This was track and field. This was the 100-meter. Carl Lewis and Ben Johnson, and there was no way that this could be anything other than a game stopper.
The urine sample of Ben Johnson was found to contain the metabolites of a banned substance, namely stanozolol. It's an anabolic steroid.
I kind of had empathy for Ben and what he was going through, because he went from a megastar to disaster in a matter of days.
Do you feel any empathy or sympathy for what Ben went through?
No, I don't.
This great humiliation kicked in. Very closely after this, the whole nation was riding on this emotional high.
I used to think he was really great, but now that I found out that he took the steroids, I don't like him very much.
He'd lied to us. Charlie had lied to us. They'd all lied to us.
I've never, ever really taken illegal drugs.
Bloody hell, come on.
And I would never embarrass my family, my friends, and my country.
Johnson's denials implied that Charlie Francis had doped him without consent. The Canadian government commissioned Charles Dubin to get to the truth.
Steroid called Dianabol 8 years ago.
Ben Johnson understand that Dianabol was an...
Two of the people that we interviewed first were the coach, Charlie Francis, and Angela Isijenko.
When an athlete gets caught, you deny.
From that, of course, we got a wealth of information because they decided to break the conspiracy of silence.
When someone has been very good to you, someone has done you a good turn, has been responsible for making you great, then you shouldn't turn against people like that.
I did this whole thing and told the truth just to save Charlie, because Charlie meant that much to me. And there was no way that he was going to be blamed for all this.
A mixture of growth hormone and aqueous testosterone.
Nobody was forced to take anything. Charlie didn't put a gun to your head and say, you know what, guys, you have to do this or else I'm not coaching you. He never said that.
Did he understand that anabolic steroids were banned at the time?
Yes.
Is what Charlie saying true?
But it was Dr. Astafan's testimony that proved decisive.
The axiom amongst track and field plus other athletes was, if you don't take it, you won't make it.
He revealed that he'd take telephone calls with Ben, discussing his steroid use.
You haven't used any of the white stuff, the steroid, since December, have you?
Part of it, yeah.
You have more left in the bottom?
Yeah.
What was the purpose of making these telephone calls then?
So that when, excuse my expression, the shit hit the fan, my tail would be covered too.
Ben had no choice but to admit to everything.
I looked my mother in the stands, and I said to my mother, Mom, what do you think? I would say, son, tell it, and everything will be okay.
You made a decision to go on steroids.
Yes.
Some Winstrol tablets contained a little white vial. Did you know they were banned?
In St. Louis, yes.
The inquiry was far-reaching. It included an appearance by Dr. Robert Kerr, infamous for supplying growth hormone.
Kerr told the Dublin Inquiry today at least 20 medal winners at the 1984 Los Angeles Games used steroids to win. And he should know. He says he gave them the drugs.
I'm glad that the Dublin Inquiry took place. It opened up a lot of individuals' eyes in terms of what goes on out there. You know, not just Ben, you know, it's there. Other athletes have done it, right? So what? You know, they continue to still do it. So.
As he left, William...
The Dublin Inquiry was the first and only time that leading figures in international athletics were sworn under oath to describe their drug taking. The reward for such honesty? To be banned by both national and international athletics federations, thus providing a significant disincentive for any other nation to follow suit.
We all lost our records, you know, all the Canadian records we set. Huge price to pay for it.
Sometimes you look back and everything else, and it's like my dad says, you had to be stupid. My best decision was leaving. My worst decision was coming back in the fall of '87. I should never came back. Should just kept going forward, because I had a decent track career.
Hello everybody.
One of Britain's greatest sportsmen, the sprinter Linford Christie, has been suspended from athletics on suspicion of taking drugs.
I think they banned me for 2 years for something I totally did not do.
Linford Christie tested positive for the anabolic drug Nandrolone, which helps pack on muscle bulk.
Does it matter to you, though, that people still harp on about?
Don't give a shit. You know, I don't just, I can honestly look in your eyes. I don't give a shit. I mean, I've won everything there is to win in our sport. Enemies never believe you. Friends don't need explanation. What they need to look at is, what have I done since? Yeah, move on. If I can move on, get a life. You know, move on, make the, be in it for the sport, to make the sport a better place.
Let's go, Rob. Sprinter Dennis Mitchell is also suspended after he was shown to have too much testosterone in his system.
We're all vulnerable to make mistakes. There was a period in my life, I made a coaching change. Probably was the worst decision I made in my life. Made a couple bad decisions, and I was judged for it, and that's it.
Good. Good job.
What were the accusations that they were accusing you of?
One of them, trafficking drugs.
Yeah. There you go, kid.
In 2010, Ray Stewart was embroiled in an investigation into the sale and distribution of drugs among elite athletes.
Nobody come forward and say, hey, Ray, give me this, Ray, give me that.
Well, their argument again with the wire transfers between the bank accounts.
That wire transfer, I was playing soccer. I showed them B12.
How do you deal with it then? Because you're kind of tainted now in people's eyes.
People who watch track and field, know track and field, know that all that crap they're talking about doesn't happen. You know, it's just people who don't understand it.
Recently discovered documents show that Carl Lewis and other U.S. athletes were allowed to compete in the 1988 Olympics after failing drug tests.
At the 1988 U.S. Olympic trials, Carl Lewis tested positive for 3 banned stimulants. This was not made public because he successfully argued the result was caused by a Chinese herbal remedy. If found guilty, he would have missed the Seoul Olympics. Today, those results would not trigger a positive test.
Who wants to make the story? if you go back and read or know now, and you know that that particular product was taken off the list, and that is taken, then you know the fact, oh, okay, I get it. And it does make sense why they did it. Boom, it's over. But if you want to be the Cedar, then you're going to say it.
I was moved up from 4th place to 3rd place for the bronze medal. And I eventually got this medal under the stands at the Olympic Stadium. The Olympic Committee didn't do what they should have done, and I feel that they should have had another ceremony.
I didn't lose, actually. I lost maybe $1 million or $2 million. Yeah, I had to admit that. But I sleep very nice every night.
As the years went on, and our methods were getting better and better and better. And I was curious, how many things did we miss in '84? And I had, for whatever reason, kept them all in the refrigerator. And I took 100 or 200, some number like that, and tested them according to our modern methods. We could see drugs, and we did see more than we saw in '84. And then I thought, better not to do this. We're seeing too much. What am I going to do with it? Are we going to publish it? And finally I decided there were too many issues. But that's the history of testing. You just get better and better and better. And things that you couldn't test for yesterday, today are simple.